Oh, it's Monday. It's 10 p.m. And that means one thing. It is time for Mocking with the Stars. Scott Fishbowl 14 is just around the corner. Invite waves are hitting inboxes. Scoring is announced. It is time to start mocking. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to Mocking with the Stars here on Club Fantasy FFL. And baby, we are back. It's Monday night. It's 10 o'clock. My guy, Chris Battistel at FF Chris B in the house. Of course, you can hit me up at FantasyJ77 over there on Twitter. But, Chris, we got a star of stars tonight.
Special guest.
Woo-wee. You guys already know who this man is. You may not know his face, but he is the winner of SFB 13 from the Philly Live Draft, Geno Stake Division. Chris, this dude won the whole thing by 46.8 points.
The champ is here.
The champ is here. We get to learn his strategy, not only from last year's magical run, but also how he's looking at scoring going into SFB 14. Mr. Jeb Barson, how are you doing tonight? Welcome to Mocking with the Stars, sir.
Let's go. Let's go.
Thanks for having me, guys. As soon as you said mock, I was in. I didn't even really read the rest of it. So, yeah. Looking forward.
Yeah, that was one of his first questions. Oh, you need me on camera, too. Yes, we're doing camera, buddy. We're doing camera. We got to let everybody know. Oh, my Lord. I'm going to go ahead and get this mock pulled up. We are going to get started, and then we are absolutely got to talk all about these scoring settings because just like normal, Scott Fish goes and changes the settings on us. We thought we had it done, just Thursday last week. We thought it was done. There was a glitch with the system. Scott had to go and revamp everything, which is fine. But now we have the final product of scoring. Chris, we're going to go over that. Let me get this draft started. Yeah. If you want to go ahead and start talking about the scoring, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they wanted to do the point per target, but Sleeper just didn't allow it. They were hoping for that. So they had to pivot a little bit. Touchdowns, pass touchdowns, 6 points per passing touchdown, 6 points per receiving touchdown across the board. Passing yards, they did nerf a little bit. Instead of your 1 point for 25 yards, it's 1 point for 50 yards. So 100 passing yards, you're getting 2 points. So that limits the potential of your passing quarterbacks. First downs, half a point per first down across the board. Rush attempts, 0.25 per rush attempt. So it's going to bolster up your bell cow running backs just a little bit. Wide receiver, it is tiered reception scoring for wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. Running back 0.5 per reception. Wide receivers is a full point per reception. Then the tight end gets the nice boost at 1.5. They also get the extra 1 point per first down. So the hyper-targeted tight ends are going to see a lot of points week in and week out. He wants to keep the kickers relevant still, same as last year, 3.3 points per extra point made and 1 point per field or 0.1 point per field goal yard. So if your kicker kicks a 47-yard field goal, that's 4.7 points. Special teams, though, is where it really comes into play. 10 points per return TD and 1 point per 5 yards per return. So 0.2 yards, 0.2 points per yard, 1 point for every 5 yards for the kick returners. So that's going to vault up some of those back-end wide receivers who are involved in special teams because special teams, special players, special plays, baby.
Jeb, I think that's kind of where the biggest difference is going to be in the trying to figure out the special teamers that we need to go and grab and how early do we go grab those guys, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That was one of the first things when I was looking at the going for 2 ADP that they already have up, I was seeing looking at the guys like Mim, Shaheed, all those kind of guys, and they're still kind of close to where they're going in best balls. So I feel like we'll see that change the closer we get to draft day. But yeah, I got to figure out who those guys are, because what is it? Point every 5 yards. So I think some of the guys are going to be getting like 140, 150 extra points over the season, which is like nothing to cough at. So yeah.
I mean, you're looking at an additional 400 plus, 500 plus points over the year just with the special teamers and return yardage.
Yeah, no, it's insane. So yeah, I've been trying to, I've got, Football Reference, but we'll see. I need to do more mocks, and I do think that the closer we get, though, we'll see some pretty crazy, like, early round guys. Like, I think kind of like we were probably not as crazy as we were getting with the tight ends last year, but because I don't think tight ends we're going to see quite as many runs this year, but we'll see.
Well, you're currently on the clock. When you go ahead and make your pick here, because again, this is third round reversal in this draft as well, because that is part of the SFB scoring. Once you make your pick, I want you to kind of let the audience know, your story on how you got into SFB, that kind of thing. Because I think it's quite interesting, and a lot of people are gonna, eyes wide open as soon as you tell them.
Yeah, sure thing. So okay, I did make my pick in time, so there we go. Nice. Yes, sir. So yeah, last year was my first year in Scott Fishbowl, so I got in through an underdog satellite the year before. I just spammed some entries. I think I had like 6 leagues, made the playoffs in 2, and then one of them made it all the way. So that was pretty cool. I think I had been applying. Probably Scott could definitely check this on me. So I'm not going to say it was too early, but probably a couple years at least before last. And I was super hype. I always kept an eye on it. So I put a lot of research into it, and Jay, the going for 2 mock drafts. I think the July last year I was doing one almost nightly, as quick as Jeff could keep up with them. So yeah, man.
You're muted, Gator.
You daggone rookie. Freaking rookie. Now, what I was saying, all I was saying was, last year between the going for 2 mocks and everything else I had going, the mocks were definitely something I had to have. We were doing anywhere from 5 to 10 a day for a month and a half. It was quite wild. I think we hit 200 mocks last year, all said and done. Just me putting them out. I mean, we had a couple other people in there that was putting a bunch out there as well. So, yes, a first timer did win it all last year. So don't sit there and say, a first timer can't do it, because Jed is the epitome of, haha, I told you so.
How bad was the sweat? How bad was the sweat on championship weekend?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, wait. Before you answer this, going into week 17, you were up by like 50.
Yeah, so it was okay, but keep in mind, I was still starting Easton Stick, so like there was a path where I did not win it. So
first time player wins it and wins it starting Easton Stick is amazing.
Well, look, I was a wild card in the playoffs, so like I don't know, I wasn't really that comfortable. Like even I know I had the lead like going into the last week, but I had seen my team do things that they didn't end up doing. So I was, being optimistic, but yeah, it worked out. It was cool. Puka, Kyren, shout outs. I wish I best ball.
You're getting a lot of love in the chat. They're like, is he a best ball millionaire yet?
No, that's this year, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I got that check mark on the Scott Fishbowl. It's time to go get best ball mania. Call it done. I love it. Now you did a live draft in Philly last year in the Geno's steak division. You're doing live in Philly again this year.
Yep. Apollo Creed division in Philly this year. I think it's I'm gonna get the date wrong. It's sometime in July. But yeah, no, I'm gonna be back. I don't live quite as close as I used to, but I am really, there's no way I'm missing that. I'm keeping keeping all the circumstances the same as last time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It was a good group last time. I mean, it was a good time. There were all sorts of varying paces. So like, I had time to lock into the iPad, and two of my friends come with me for moral support, because like I knew I wouldn't know anybody. Ended up meeting, there were some great guys at the table, and one guy who had actually been in the Dynasty League with.
You are on the clock.
I'm on the clock. Yes,
You're on the clock right now. You went Anthony Richardson with your first pick. Talk us through this second pick as you're
yes. All right, so Anthony Richardson. So with quarterbacks, especially early, I want guys who can give me rushing upside. So Allen and Hurts were gone already, and Lamar obviously. So I went with Mahomes. McCaffrey was the only guy I was considering up there. In terms of this pick, I am looking at. Let's see. I got 15 seconds. Good. I have not been starting QB a ton recently, but may have to. Let's see. All right. I am actually going to go with Amon-Ra, just because I know there's a couple. I wanted to take Puka again after last year. I think Amon-Ra is going to munch, especially first downs. I still love Puka. I was between them there. I went silent there because I was thinking about running back, and about to contradict everything that I was going to say. But looking at least a little bit of projections with scoring this year, I wanted to go quarterback early. And then like last year, I was trying to spam running back, tight end, and it's a little different this year. Wide receiver definitely is going to have more of an impact than they did last year, especially on the top side and upper top. But yeah, anyway, ramble.
No, I think that's good, because you're looking at the 0.25 per rush attempt. I think is going to become a factor, Chris. You sat here and you went Mahomes and Kyren Williams. So I think that you're looking at that rush attempt of 0.25 and trying to gain an extra 30 points or 20 points or so per game just with the attempts from Kyren.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. I recently constructed a projection sheet, so I'm drafting off of that. I wanted to use it to see how I can construct my team in this mock here. My draft slot is the 1-7. Right now, I got Kyren Williams finishing as the overall RB2 in this scoring format. I pulled the projections from PFF. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of variables that are going to come into play as the season goes on, injuries and, backup players and other role players in the offense. But if Kyren Williams can produce to what they are projecting him to be, he has every right to be picked in the top 5 guys. So for me, I'm going to lean a little bit on the running backs and tight ends. And then for wide receiver wise, it's a mock. I don't mind giving away my strategy here. I'm going to try to target kick returner wide receivers and see how my team gets constructed as we go, because you only really need to start one wide receiver based on how the roster construction is. One quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, 6 flex if you're on MFL, but if you're on Sleeper, it's 5 flex, the kicker, and then the super flex. So if I can maybe get some high volume running backs, some of these hyper targeted tight ends, pair them up with wide receivers that are utilized in the return game on some of these bad offenses that just can't move the ball and are consistently turning the ball over, then I'm going to see what I can do with that.
Yeah, I'm looking at your sheet here. I don't want to give it away, but there's a couple players on here that it seems pretty daggum interesting that they're even this high. Now I will give this much away. I would highly recommend anybody that is listening, watching, goes back and does and watches the replay. If you're not following Scott Fish on Twitter, you absolutely should be, because he puts out little Easter eggs on different players compared to this scoring. Scott Fish did all of this research for this scoring multiple times. So he does throw out some Easter eggs. If you're not following Scott Fish over there on Twitter, you absolutely should be, because like I said, he's given out little hints here and there on players that you should be targeting, and players that are being targeted in some of the mocks that are going way too late for the scoring settings.
Yeah. Player like Rashid Shaheed.
Rashid
A
Shaheed.
player that he's
which-
dropped. Scott Fish has dropped on his Twitter, right? A guy who's been super efficient in the return game for New Orleans. The team is not the greatest, so they're going to be in position where the defense isn't too bad, so they're going to be in position where they're going to be forcing the opposing offenses to kick the ball to them. I think last season he was averaging around 16.7 yards per return. With the boosted scoring, the boosted touchdown numbers, now projecting return touchdowns is probably just as easy as projecting the weather on a daily basis. But it's just to have that boost from that wide receiver position, and he's the wide receiver too for New Orleans. On top of it, it's a position that I'm willing to wait on. With right now how far Rashid Shaheed and other returners are going in drafts right now. So I don't mind pushing the wide receiver back a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's something that's going to be interesting, Jeb. Keeping an eye on what the new kickoff rules do to these returners, and then how us as fantasy players, especially with the Scott Fish Bowl, how we react to that.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, because it would be one thing. I mean, it would be hard enough if we could just, look at historical data and just go with that, But we're going to have to theorize here. So, yeah, I don't have any theories yet, but I'm still just working on data. So, Shaheed is going to be a monster in the scoring probably. It's just going to be a matter of how early is too early. Where are we reaching? Where are we, going too far beyond reason. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, if the question is how early is too early, I mean, if you look at the projections compared to what the scoring is, Shaheed is what, wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 in the scoring. Are we taking him? Are we taking him CeeDee Lamb and then it's Rashid Shaheed?
No,
on paper it's not sexy.
The ADP going for two right now. I think Shaheed's like 122, which is what I was saying earlier. Like it's crazy. It'll change. That's not going to last. I don't think. Yeah.
No, I don't see that lasting. I'm seeing what FJ's doing right here, and look, I'm surprised this hasn't happened more often in these mocks, but with the boosted tight end scoring, going Laporta, McBride, Ingram. How much do you feel, Chris, that he's giving away on value at just when he's just taking these tight ends? Again, whether you're playing on Sleeper, you get 5 flexes. If you're playing on MFL, you get 6.
Yeah, I mean, with how nerfed the quarterback passing numbers are, I probably would have leaned to try to snag a quarterback in this position there with the ones that fell to him. Kyler Murray being probably the last guy that utilizes his legs the most out of the ones that were left. But I don't hate it, man. With the boosted scoring, he's got Laporta, who is projected as a top 3 tight end, Trey McBride, who's also projected as a top 3 tight end, and Evan Ingram, who's maybe the second option, third option in that Jaguars offense. So if Ingram can have the kind of season that he had last year, we know what Laporta can do. We know what McBride can do. I think it sets you up for a safe weekly average when you're stacking tight ends like that. So you're looking to secure that at least median floor for you to get that win per week. And just as you get into the playoffs, solidify a good average, because as we know, man, Jed, you need that solid average heading into the playoffs, buddy.
Yes, sir. Like I mentioned, I was wild card, so I was scrambling. Every week, if you don't have that average up, then every week feels like you're last at that point, and you're just throwing darts and hope they hit. Yeah, man. But no, I like what you said, and especially with Ingram, to add one more to him, I think he had 3rd most first downs last year of the tight ends. So with this scoring, especially, I think that'll come into play. I think you can't go wrong with Laporta and McBride, both who carried me last year, actually.
Yeah, what's crazy is I'm looking at the projections that Chris has up here, and ironically, only one of those 3 are in the top 40. Actually, one of those 3 is in the top 59. So Interesting when it looks at the scoring compared to what their projection is going to be this year. Let me run through the first 2 rounds at least here. We had Christian McCaffrey go off the board 1-1, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, Patrick Mahomes, Sam Laporta, CJ Stroud, Breece Hall, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Bijan Robinson starting off the second round, Justin Jefferson, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Trey McBride, Kyron Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews ending the second round at 212, Joe Burrow starting off the third round, Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devontae Adams, Evan Ingram, Dak Prescott, Travis Etienne, Drake London, Jonathan Taylor, Kyle Pitts, Jared Goff, and then Saquon Barkley ending the third round. Like I said, this is a third round reversal. So looking right now at these top 3 teams, Jeb, I know you're going to be coming up on board. Outside of your own, these top 3 rounds here, what are we looking at as far as the favorite way you like to build? Is it through the you said you don't like building through the double quarterback. Which one of these
well,
like
that's just what I'm thinking so far. To be honest with you, if you ask me next week, that could change. And I even last year I went into the live with one strategy and then it changes. So yeah, I mean, not trying to hold myself to anything too strict. But when you see something that fits perfectly, then yeah, you can't hate on it. Let's see. I mean, of these teams, I like the Allen Kincaid Goff just because I love the Allen Kincaid stack this year. I think Allen's going to go crazy in this scoring. Goff, I have a soft spot for him. I'm taking him a lot in best ball. Obviously, he's not going to do a ton with his legs, so maybe that one's more of a heart pick. But I like the Stroud Love Tay start as well. I think Jordan Love's going to be underrated in this one. And then someone just typed Jaden Daniels from me, and they have Lamar, Puka, Kyle Pitts. That might be my favorite one right now. Actually, that's a
great start,
man. Wow. Yeah. All right,
Well,
I gotta find my new pick now.
while you're doing that, I want to give some love to our good buddy Jason Snyder over there on Twitter, running the hopefuls at Spidey. I think it's at Spidey78. Jason, correct me if I am wrong there, but he's loving the CMC, Mark Andrews, Saquon Barkley, Brock Purdy start.
Yeah.
What do you think about that start there, Chris?
Solid. I mean, based on what the early projections are telling me, double solid running backs there with McCaffrey and Barkley, high volume guys that are going to see production in the passing game. Team that up with a high volume tight end and Mark Andrews, who really could be the first or second receiving option for Baltimore on any given week. And then you got Brock Purdy there, who might not see the rush totals that you want, but has every possibility to go out there in San Francisco and throw for over 4,000 yards. So, I mean, I don't hate it at all.
Jeb, what are you thinking? Right, 10 seconds on this clock. What do you got going on?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I just sent it in. I'm gonna take the Pittman stack. It's a little earlier than I like taking Pittman. I like Ayuk a lot, although I mean, I'm just saying that because it's a mock. We'll see. We'll see what's up with his situation in a couple months. But yeah, I was looking running back. Ideally I would get a quarterback there. But also ideally they would be one of Daniels and Williams who just went. So I just pivoted there. Same kind of situation with the running backs. We just had a little bit of a run on them. So I think also just to pivot like on that, I think best available, especially the later we get, is going to be huge this year with only one, only one running back, wide receiver, tight end. So yeah, I think it's get your guys.
Yeah, I was going to ask how much do you get into the details of the scoring this early compared to, how do you graduate till later on, as you were just talking about there?
Just by doing a ton of mocks, honestly, and seeing what you can actually get and getting a feel. At least for me, there's definitely people out there who don't need to get their hands dirty, but that's the main thing for me right now. That was the main thing last year. I have a couple notes jotted down now for what I'm thinking, but it's probably going to change. There's a whole bunch of time. So yeah.
We just got the finalized scoring. I believe it was Friday, right? So how many mocks have you done with the scoring being finalized over this past weekend?
I've gotten into 2. I did 2 this entire weekend with scoring finalized. So yeah, we're very early. This is good practice. And it probably would have been 1 max if I didn't know that I had this on Monday as well.
I'm practice mocking for the mock.
Right.
There we go.
Right.
I love it. Chris, how do you get into the details of the scoring? How do you do it?
Just putting it through the number crunching machine and letting it spit out what I'm supposed to do. Really, it's just mock after mock, seeing what's going to fall to me, trying to find in such a big tournament like this, a lot of these drafts are going to end up the same, with the top guys going where they should go respectively, but trying to find the guys that are going to be the game changers to either secure me wins per week or help push up my weekly average for when the playoffs come. I have a good shot at progressing week after week and not having to stress out once that time comes. So for me, really, when I dive into the scoring, it's what part of the scoring can I try to take advantage of that other people aren't, where I can find the later round guys that could hopefully put me in a better spot where I'm either beating waivers for the first few weeks or I can steal some wins for the first few weeks.
We know now that last year was Jeb's first year. This year will be his second. Chris, how many times have you done Scott Fishbowl?
I'm in the same second year. Last year was my first one. I won in a YouTube race when they did the races on the Fantasy Cares website. So my guy was loose and ready, and he got to the finish line, and I got in, man. I got it from buying some. I think I bought this shirt, which got me in the race. So that's second year for me, man. How about you, Gator?
No, this will be my third year, but I do remember a couple great chats that you and I were having in the hopefuls from last year about, getting you stretched out, once you got, learned that you were going to be in this, doing the exercises, making sure your legs were limber. You weren't going to old man pulling. Yeah. Don't want to pull anything. But
stay ready so you don't got to get ready.
Yeah. The reason I bring it all up, to be totally honest, is this is absolutely 100% for me, one of the best tournaments out there in the space, because the people you meet, the chats you can get into, but ultimately it's about charity. It is 100% for charity. So I want everybody, to know, go over to scottfishbowl.com. You can get your Avies done. You can get your banners done for your Twitter stuff. Hell, get over there, go to Fantasy Cares. Is it shopfantasycares.com? I believe it is. Fantasy Cares, shopfantasycares.com. Get your SFB shirts. I got the Shrek one on tonight. I know the hats and hoodies and all that stuff is coming. That's the shirt that Chris has behind him that he put in the fishbowl, came off of the Shop Fantasy Cares. Jed, do you have any of the merch yet? I know you're going to be getting some because you're going to be in a live draft, so I know you're getting some.
I have 3 on the way. I got the Potathon. I'm blanking on the other 2. They don't have one for my division yet. And then I have a few on. I got the Raising Cane's one from last year. Last year I had a good time with that last year, man.
Yes.
But yeah, that'll be the start. Once they drop the hoodies, then we'll see, man. Yeah,
you're up in like the Philly area, so you definitely, and like Chris does too. Y'all are gonna need those hoodies like in about 2 weeks.
I need the hoodies right now, Gator. It's no joke up here, man. Jesus.
Jason Snyder popping in with this question here. Even with the quarterback values nerfed, do you guys expect quarterbacks to still go off the board early in real drafts versus these mocks, as they historically have been? Well, here's the thing, though. You had 5, 6 go in the first round, and then 2 more in the second round, and then we almost went a full round before Joe Burrow goes off at 3-1. So Chris, what is your expectations for the QBs with the yardage being nerfed all the way down to you don't get what 0.2? Is it 0.2 per yard? Basically, is what it breaks down to.
So it's
Point,
pretty much
point
cut in
0.2.
half from the regular scoring. Yeah. So I think we'll see the rushing quarterbacks be prioritized, of course, as they should. In this format, they're going to be more valuable than any other pocket passing quarterback. But I think once we see super flex there, we're already programmed to overvalue the quarterback. So they're going to be prioritized like we see here the first 5 or 6 rounds. We're going to see a lot of the quarterbacks go. And there's going to be some guys that are going to slip, like Justin Herbert, who could see a good amount of volume rushing the ball in that offense, plus the opportunity to see a high volume of passing yards go well below where he should be going. So there's going to be some guys that you're going to be able to steal. But with the nerfed QB scoring, I can see the pocket passers dropping a little bit, but the guys that utilize their feet are going to sit at the top.
Yeah, it's going to be the Josh Allen, the Lamar Jackson, the Jalen Hurts, the Anthony Richardsons, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes still gets a little bit of yardage on the ground, right, Jed? Well, I mean, are those like the 5 that you're sitting there going, okay, these are the 5?
Yeah. I mean, look, I picked Anthony Richardson over Mahomes for this one. Granted, it's a mock. I don't know if I'm doing that on the real day. But Mahomes still giving you a lot off the ground. I don't really have a ton to add. I think, Chris, you hit it on the nail. I think we're still going to see quarterbacks going plenty early. I think there'll be a huge run in the first round, similar, if not more drastic than what we saw in the mock here. It just might not be the exact same quarterbacks that we saw last year.
Yeah, guys.
And
like
I think
Derek
it thins
Carr,
out as well.
Guys like Derek Carr, all those low volume guys are pretty much moot in this format, right? If you're not putting up at least 4,200 passing yards, you're below that 3,700 threshold. I mean, if you're not utilizing your legs, you're pretty much useless.
Yeah, man. Which is pretty contrary to last year when, with no penalties for interceptions. I mean, a lot of people were saying, all right, we'll punt on quarterback 2, scoop someone up, don't have to worry about the rookies being mistake prone, all that good stuff. Whereas this year, it's not.
Easton Stick was a league winner, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Aiden O'Connell was putting up a 30 burger every week. You're not going to see that this year with those bum quarterbacks, right?
Well, how far? Wait. Whoa, with the bum quarterback thing there, Chris. Good Lord. Because I'm going to ask the question, not that it's really, truly going to matter right now, but you look at somebody like Justin Herbert in last year's offense where he's just chucking the ball all over the place. He'd be somebody even, would be going somewhere around where that CJ Stroud, Kyler Murray is, right? But just because of the passing yardage, the hell with his rushing, because he's going to get the yardage through the air, even with the nerf scoring and quarterback. You can't expect that this year, though.
No.
So who's a quarterback that you're looking at going, okay, somebody I'm looking at later on, hopefully as a QB2 that I can, I'm not going to rely on his rushing at all, but possibly going to get that 43, 44, 4,500 yards through the air where it doesn't kill me to have him as a QB2.
Perfect guy right there is Matt Stafford on the Rams, man. Just the amount that they chuck the ball around, the wide receivers that he's got, the guys as stiff as a board back there. You're not going to see him doing too many scramble drills. You're not going to see Matthew Stafford rolling out of the pocket and rushing it for 10 yards, but there's every possibility that Matthew Stafford can go out there and throw it for 4,200 yards and 35 to 40 touchdowns in that offense. So if I take a rushing QB early and I want to punt it for the next few rounds, a guy like Matthew Stafford, maybe even, I don't even want this guy's name to cut him out of my mouth, but maybe even Baker Mayfield might be an option for you if you're waiting on your second QB. I'm not gonna like it, but it's there.
That's your Saints fandom hate coming out. That's what that is. That's all. Hey. Good Lord. Well, ironically, somebody Dub Wins pops in the chat, says, I wonder if Scott Fish is going to drop by. Now, I don't think he's dropping by the show, but guess what? Scott Fish is wondering if Scott Fish is going to show up as well. So I think that's pretty damn cool that we're doing a Scott Fish Bowl mock, and Scott Fish is in the chat. Probably trying to get some tidbits from the winner of last year, Jed. What do you think about it? Are you going to give Scott the winning tidbits this year?
No, I mean, maybe in a couple weeks. I think what we talked about earlier with the return yardage is going to be huge. I think we got to see, we all got to crunch our numbers and see where those guys slot in. Get a grip of the quarterbacks and do a bunch of mocks and get some sort of semblance for how it's going to go, while also not holding yourself to that too much. So
that's right.
Yeah, man, we'll see.
Well, as we get through here, we're coming through the 6th round here. We're at 6-10, but let me go ahead and go back to the 4th round. We have Brock Purdy, Derrick Henry, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Pittman Jr., George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Chris Olave, Jaden Waddle, Rashad White, Devon Achane, DJ Moore, Justin Herbert, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, Kirk Cousins, Isaiah Pacheco, Mike Evans, Brock Bowers, Jake Ferguson, David Njoku, Deebo Samuel, Ken Walker, Cooper Kupp going in the 6-4 just seems like a steal. Dallas Goedert, Malik Neighbors, and then off the board at 6-7. Scott, if you are in the chat, you will love this. Our boy Chris takes Rasheen Shaheed, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, and we are at the 6-11. I want to go back here to the 5-6 turn where you had these tight ends go back to back again, but you had Brock Bowers go before Jake Ferguson. And when you look at Jake Ferguson from last year, over 100 targets, I believe he had over 100 receptions as well. But that's somebody is in this format to me at 1.5 for the premium. I think I'd rather have Jake Ferguson over Brock Bowers there, in Vegas. What do you think there, Jed?
I mean, a lot of it obviously with tight ends. What is it? 2.5 points for a called first down, or it might be 3 even with the given half.
It's going to be depending on the yardage, right? So you get the 1.5 for the reception, the 1 for the first down, and then another another point for every 10 yards, I believe it is. Is that correct? That's
right.
Yeah. So you're looking at 3.5 points for a 10-yard reception that gets a first down.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't personally, I don't love, I don't have a good grasp on what's going on in Vegas. I don't trust O'Connell. They also had I didn't love Michael Mayer last year, but I didn't hate him. I mean, he's still there, but we'll see. Bowers before, in Dynasty, before he landed in Vegas, I was looking to grab a ton of him, but I would go Ferguson and Njoku. Njoku got a ton of first downs last year, I believe, if I'm not thinking, missing that. And obviously you got Ferguson in that offense, you're not going to go wrong.
Chris, what are your thoughts on Bowers before Ferguson in this scoring format?
I mean, I don't hate it. I'd probably take Ferguson there, considering who else or who isn't in that wide receiver room for the Dallas Cowboys. Jake Ferguson probably steps up to be that second pass catching option, and that's what you want out of your tight ends for fantasy purposes. But Brock Bowers can be that guy as well for Las Vegas. Go ahead,
Chris. I got to ask you a question. I don't know if you know this guy or not. Mr. Scott Fish. How are you?
What's going on, guys?
Welcome to the show, Scott.
No way, man.
Mr. Fish, I don't know if you know the guy that's sitting right next to you. He won your tournament last year.
Oh, no, this way.
Yep. Yes.
It's pretty impressive.
How's it going, Scott?
And he said he's not giving you any secrets for this year.
I need him. The best I've ever come in is second, so I can't figure out how to get over that hump.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead, Jed. Go ahead.
Not the person to ask yet. But yeah, I think from last year, I think you said, I remember Ian was running tons of mocks, so I think you got a lot of good help at home there. But yeah.
yes, he's pretty good at this whole fantasy thing. In fact, last year was the first year that he came in worse than second. He had been second or first place in every league he'd ever played in until last year. So that kid's a little bit of a savant at it. But are you going to Philly live again this year?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was saying I'm a little further out. I'm like an hour away now, but no, I wasn't missing that. I'm looking forward to it.
I think have you gotten your trophy yet?
I have not. No.
Okay. I think the plan is to get it presented to you at the live event. I think that was the plan. So
okay,
that'll be a fun, embarrassing moment for you to be in front of everybody and accepting your award. But at least for me, I hate attention, so it's
well, this is why Jay and Chris are giving me my practice run. So,
nice.
I don't wilt on the day, but yeah, no. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry about the darkness. I'm on my deck here outside.
No,
so.
you're good. You're good. I saw the beautiful deck. Now that you have no trees, the other day when you were doing the fantasy cares, so it was, you're fine. I realize that it's dark in Minnesota already. But that's fine. Scott, when you set these tournaments up, how many each year? I know you go to a couple different ones. I know you're always, of course, at the Minnesota one.
Yep.
I know you were in Vegas LA last year for sure.
Yep.
How many are you going to this year?
I'm going to 5 this year. The first weekend is Vegas. I'm going to be at Stadium Swim there at Circa Las Vegas for the first one. That opens up the tournament. And then the next weekend I'll be in Denver. The weekend after that is Minnesota. And then in the final weekend, I'm going to LA on Saturday and I'm going to red eye to Boston for Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So
I like it.
It's going to be an interesting 4 weeks for me, but I'll get to 5 of them this year.
Are you outside of the Minnesota one? Are you taking Ian to any of them?
So Ian is coming with me to Denver. I think that's the only one though.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got to get
$200 plane ticket. That'll spring for Ian.
No, we got to get him to LA. I think that would be get him out there to trophy smack and just let him play all the games.
He was there last year. I don't know if
okay.
Yeah, he went to LA with me last year. He got to meet some of the actors in some movies he's watched and stuff, which was fun. Like he is a Diary of the Wimpy Kid fan, and Tom Everett Scott was out there, who's the dad in the first 2 of them, I believe. And it was a good time for him. He came out to LA for that one for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Scott, when you put these scoring together, I know it takes you forever to do it. How long did this one take you outside of the snafu of the 0.25 per target?
Honestly, it's not as long as people think, but I spend a good week or week and a half on it, just really crunching the numbers, trying to balance everything. I'm sure you've probably seen, and maybe you haven't, of some of the graphs of how balanced it stays throughout, and the nerfing of the quarterbacks brought them down with everybody. I do wonder if, you can't account for the variable of a player, like the human being might see super flex and still draft them super high anyway. But yeah, it usually takes me a good week of, thinking of a group of settings, crunching the numbers, seeing what they did in my charting, in my tables, and trying a bunch of different things. I'd say about week and a half.
And then Ian gets in there and goes, "No, Dad, do this."
Yeah. Ian and John pushed me from 6 points to 10 points for the return touchdowns, and nice. I'm fine with it. I think I was on the fence on it anyway. I wanted to make it something that mattered. Like returns in normal leagues, like when you do have return yardage and return touchdowns, they're not really much of a thing. They don't change the draft much, so going big made sense.
No, I think John said that the other day. I believe it was Thursday when you were first bringing it out, starting to talk about the scoring. When he said do 10, you were 49.88 or something like that is where he had you, and you're like, yeah, okay, probably so.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Ian did most of the work. John was just like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what it does. I know you talked about Shaheed a few minutes ago when he went in the 8th there, but Shaheed, Mims, those guys, they'll go. I wonder if teams will, with the new rules, put some skill possession players back there. I think week 1 or 2 waivers, we're going to see some of those return guys start to be bid on as flex options. I think that's where their real value is going to come, not so much the draft, because we're 2.5 months from, almost 3 months actually, from real NFL football. I think it's going to be the first couple waiver runs is where the money gets spent on those returners.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's only, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's only $100 for the waiver, right, this year?
Yep, 100. Yep.
So you're going to be seeing a couple players in each league. I think is going to be pretty tapped out within the first couple weeks when they look at this special team scoring that you've put together.
Yep. You generally see it just because of an injury. Like we've had years where Lev Bell holds out, or Dak Prescott gets in, or actually this is really old, but Tony Romo gets injured after the drafts and Dak Prescott takes over. That was many, many years ago. But it seems like every year there's generally one injury or whatever that causes people to spend 100 fab that first week. But you're right. I think returners could be that this year.
Scampers is in the chat saying Ian roasted his Miles Sanders pick. And of course he was 100% correct. He's also wanting Tyreek Hill to go back to returning. I think
Scampers can tell you Ian is ruthless at drafts. Once he gets comfortable, he will just absolutely go off on people on how bad certain picks are. He's also he'll say how good they are too, but he will roast you. I will not forget Lamar's MVP season. I think it was the first year of the lives. He was at the Minnesota Live, and a guy, the 107 or 106 or whatever, picked a guy, and then the next pick was Lamar Jackson, and he looked at the last guy and he said, You're going to regret that. You're going to regret passing on Lamar Jackson. That was a mistake. and he was dead right. I mean, it was it's fun. He will go after people. He's not shy about it.
I remember last year you had him. I believe he was using your account, but he did a couple mock drafts with us.
Oh yeah.
He set up a couple, and he set up a couple, and then he was in the chat pretty good bit there. So it was quite fun mocking with Ian. So if you get a chance to mock with Ian, go and do that, because it is a blast. It's a blast.
Those are coming. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Spots of those ones go quick. Those go they
go. Scott can drop and say, "Hey, I'm going to be mocking himself," and it won't take very long, of course, for people to jump in. But if Ian jumps on there and says, "I'm mocking," you ain't got a chance.
Oh, it's the bigger draw. Absolutely, it's the big draw. It's at this point, it's Matthew Berry and Ian are the two big draws out there for mock drafting.
Oh Lord. Well, I've been telling everybody all night. All right, I've said it a couple times that they need to be. If they're not following you, they need to be. And even if they are following you, they need to go ahead and hit that little notification, so that every time you drop something, because you're dropping these little Easter eggs about the scoring settings and players that are higher in scoring than people would think of, like the Shaheed pick. Are you going to continue to drop those Easter eggs?
Oh, I'm sure I will. When especially when I notice them, I will. That's for sure. And that's your best chance at getting in one of those mocks with Ian too, is because it comes at such random times.
Yeah. Can you see the draft board at all very well?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you look at these first couple? What are we at? We just finished the 8th round here. We're going to be doing 22 total rounds, just like the draft's going to be for SFB 14. Anything surprise you so far out of these first 8 rounds or so? I didn't really give you a heads up on this. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I mean, nothing super surprises me. It looks about like it should. It's actually impressive that we only see, what is it, 6 quarterbacks in the first. Last year, the drafts averaged 10 in the first. There's a pretty clear cutoff after Trevor Lawrence, and you'd see 10 go in the first 13 picks almost every single draft. So that's interesting. Like, you can tell there's sharps in here that have really scoured the scoring, and they're like, all right, rushing quarterbacks, and we'll let some more slide. It does seem like the running backs are a lot slower than I thought they would be, though. There's some good value with their points per carry, and their if you look at the top 20 or so, I believe there's 6-7 running backs in the top 20 from last year. Maybe there's just a lack of faith in who those 6 or 7 might be this year. That might be it. I think there's also, because you only start 1, and I actually think that's the biggest change in SFB this year, is the start 1 running back, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 1 wide receiver, and a bunch of flex. I think we're going to see a lot of people thinking about the hero running back situation, or just playing a committee and not caring about running back at all. And they're just like, we'll figure out which 1 running back we want to start weekly, and they'll hammer other positions. So when you think about that, maybe that explains why running backs are being sloughed so much in this one. Players specifically, I'm not sure I see much, but that is interesting in this mock that's being played out.
Yeah, I expected to see a lot more running backs whenever I saw the 0.25 for carry, and then what was the other one that was was it a half point reception for running backs?
Yeah.
Some of the guys like a Rashad White, some of the guys that rely a good bit on the pass catching out of the backfield.
Oh yeah.
That you would think would go a lot higher. But something you said though is, I think there is truly a clear-cut 3, between CMC, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson. No matter what order you put them in, those are the clear-cut 3. And then it's like, okay, flip a coin, who do I like?
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. It does feel like there's a pretty big teardrop there. But after that next teardrop, it feels like there's a good 5 or 6 guys I feel confident in getting pretty decent volume and being pretty heavily involved. The tight ends feel a little slow too. Just given the a 10-yard first down reception for a tight end is 4 points. That seems ridiculous to me, that a tight end could have 2 receptions for 20 yards and have 8 points.
8 points. Yeah. Well, and then that be it for the rest of the day for these tight ends.
Yeah, and you'd probably be happy with it, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you're going to flip over to another league and have that exact same guy, and he got you 2.3.
2 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the tight end dip has been a little bit interesting, but I think it's just because of how early we are drafting here. Like TJ Hawkinson's a guy that might miss half the season.
Yeah,
so seeing him take him as his first tight end is a bit rough there.
Yeah, I don't expect Hawkinson until Thanksgiving. I mean, here in Minnesota, we're trying out N'Keal Harry at tight end, just to fill that gap. Like I don't think anyone here. What I've heard up here is they expect around or after Thanksgiving, that area
for his return. Yeah, so it's so that could be a guy that you could get at value as well with that news, right? As we get into August and July and the news comes out that it's, he is going to miss up until Thanksgiving, TJ Hawkinson with this scoring could be a guy that you can get at a great value. And I guess he could be considered a great value where he was taken in this draft behind everyone he was taken behind.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like I'm talking a lot and I'm taking up all of Jed's talking time here.
Oh, you're good. This is good for me. I mean, I'm taking notes. You see, I just went on a running back run, and now I'm kicking myself for not having a tight end yet. Although I did get sniped for about half the ones I wanted. But worries.
In your championship last year, did you have a stack? Did you have?
I had Lamar Zay. That was my big stack.
Okay.
But outside of that, no, I mean, Puka and Kyran, if you count that. But those were, it was Puka, Kyran, Laporta. Those are like my late picks that like carried me. And then everybody else did, just about enough. Because I think, I had like Chubb, Daniel Jones, like were like my early picks. So like I had a pretty terrible like live part of the draft. It was the offline part that, locked in. So anyway, kept it the same this year though, not taking any chances.
Nice.
Scott, how good did it feel last year for you to sit there and look over at Jed and go, I know he was a first timer, and to walk in and do what he did, and then just be like, holy crap, it's this guy, one time he gets in and I can't even win my own tournament. I've been doing it for 13
I know. I almost banned him for life after I saw that. But
right. Scott doesn't ban very many people, and he doesn't put it out there on who's banned, but you would have been put out there. He just this guy cannot play it ever.
This guy drafts Nick Chubb in the second and still wins it. What's going on here? I don't even know what route he took it.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
I think it's awesome feeling, because I know you've put out a bunch of tweets this year about the first timers, and trying to get a bunch of first timers in there, and I think Jed being out there going on the first time and actually not only making the playoffs and getting far, but actually winning the thing. I think that's a huge deal. So
absolutely, very awesome. Very awesome.
I didn't realize it until about a week ago either, Scott. I knew who won. I talked to him a couple times here and there, but it wasn't like I didn't even know this was his first time. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, which is funny because you were the one setting up the mocks that
I know
I was using to learn literally everything. So,
how bad of a mock drafter am I if I can't even figure that out?
I'm actually more impressed.
The auto picks, man. Yeah,
the autos. I'm more impressed that he did it from a live, because I go to these lives. There are not sober drafters there. It's
a little dicey. Maybe that's why he won. He was the sober one.
The Philly one I heard was pretty impressive in that I think Jalen Hurts went first in almost all of them, and they were booing.
Oh, Jalen Hurts' name was on the board an hour before draft time. Yeah. Someone showed up,
and like when Chiefs got drafted, you guys booed and stuff. I heard some stories coming out of Philly.
I know, it's funny because I'm actually a Giants fan, but I took Goddard, and I think everyone else in the division was. So I was like, "Oh, what am I missing here, guys?" But anyway, it didn't totally screw me, I guess.
The Philly internal debate on merch is absolutely hilarious, because the Rocky logo is just block lettering.
Yeah,
we can't use the Rocky statue thing, and the block lettering. Who's going to know what it is? So we're like, how do we do a Rocky one? It's not easy.
I've seen a couple mock-ups in our chat, but I'm pretty sure they all involve the statue. So
I was gonna say we can do parody. We have to avoid some copyrights. There's some issues, but it's been discussed a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah, Scott, tell them where they can find that, because I believe I said it correctly, but it's shopfantasyorg.com for that one, correct?
Shop Fantasy Cares. Yep.
I'm sorry, Shop
Fantasy Cares. Yep. .com or Fantasy Cares /shop or scottfishbowl.com/shop. Any of those will really work. Yeah. They all go to the same place.
And this Shrek one is phenomenal, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's repping it. That's awesome.
My favorite's the Mighty Ducks one, honestly.
That one's cool.
Yeah. Well, I would tell you this. What was it? It was it Tuesday last week when the merch store opened?
Yeah, something like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep. So Tuesday, whatever day it was that it opened, I ordered 2 shirts right then.
Nice.
They came in Friday.
Yeah.
So there was literally no delay. I mean, it was like order shit.
The quality is so much better than last year too.
So, I wasn't gonna say that, but
no, I actually that was one of my big things this year. Is I'm like, guys, this was not good last year. It's frustrating to me, but we got some better places, and the shipping, like you said, is insane this year.
Yeah.
They process the order within 20 minutes. There's a problem with it. Like if you make a mistake, like it's getting out there. Like you put in the wrong address and the wrong size, it is coming to you, and we'll try to work with you. But yeah, it's quick.
Now, the reason I bring that up is because I know a lot of people, especially in the chat the other day, were worried about, live drafts and being able to get their merch. But it's there. You'll have it in plenty of time.
Yep. It's very, very fast. I got 12 shirts today. So
nice.
Little overboard, but I think I'm done.
No. Scamper says he can't decide. But getting besides his Mighty Ducks. He can't decide what to get besides his Mighty Ducks. Dude, I will tell you, so right now I have the Shrek and I got Draft Day.
Okay.
The draft day one is cool.
Draft day sick one. Yeah, that's a cool one.
Cool. And then, so I'm in Rex in Orlando, so I'll get to see. I believe John Bosch is going to be coming down to Orlando this year.
Yes.
So I'll see John, but I'm in the Rex division. So that's the one shirt that I still have to get. I have to get the Toy Story one.
Oh, the Toy Story logo is so good.
It is.
You should see the trucker hats. We have that on. The hats aren't released yet, but man. Oh, the trucker hats are flex fit too, which is insane.
So the hats are coming. Do we have any kind of? Can you release any kind of a date or anything like that, or do we have an idea of when?
I mean, like
soon.
Pay attention to my tweets or the YouTube channel. I think it's this week sometime. I think I know which day, but like I don't want to speak out of turn because I am not on the merch side of things. So I don't want to annoy those guys by promising something that's not true.
So you're not on the scoring side of things either, because you said that was coming out Thursday.
Yeah. I actually said
we almost had the Russ scoring.
Yeah. We almost got Russ scoring. That's right.
Oh man, yeah. That was rough. That was rough. That's for sure.
So the hats and stuff, that's all going to be coming through the same distributor. So it's probably going to be same speed. It's going to be pretty quick. So that'd be awesome.
Same distributor. Yep. I'm pretty sure. I probably shouldn't speak out of turn of things I'm not 100% on, but I'm pretty sure they're all through the same shop.
Nobody's watching. It's just us. Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord.
Taysom Hill. Look at that, Taysom Hill. Yeah. He gets an extra point for passing, rushing, or receiving first downs.
I was, I noticed that you had that in there, Scott. Yeah. The receiving, receptions for quarterbacks, kickers, and running backs.
Yeah.
As a half point per reception.
Don't want to leave them out. That's how Sleeper does it, like all players. So it's receiving for all players. So I put it in there. Taysom Hill, I don't even know what he's listed on as on Sleeper, to be honest.
He's listed as a tight end.
He's got the dual though. You can put him in the QB spot.
Okay. Yeah. So it's whatever Sleeper listed him on. I have it in my rules that we go by the designation of the host. I'm not gonna mess with it. So
I guess the biggest thing between Sleeper and MFL is the kicker, correct?
Yep. It is. We'll see if this is the first year it actually matters. The last 2 years, everybody thought it would matter, and Sleeper actually had the advantage. This year, with more flexes and with people maybe catching on, we'll see. But it's another one of those, the settings and logical like inclination, and the data says it should go one way, and the users are like, we don't care, we're not going to draft kickers, and it just doesn't go that way. So we'll see if it matters this year.
Until you get somebody like Linda.
Yeah.
It's just like this year. I've done a couple of them and seen maybe 3 times where it goes tight end, and maybe 3 times. 2 of those times Kelly Singh has gone tight end.
Okay,
it's right on brand. So
yeah,
it's been interesting to see it go. And you're drafting from, usually you and Ian are drafting on opposite ends.
Yeah, we draft on opposite ends to stay away from each other, and also so that there's lots of time in between picks. Like I'm running a lot of stuff. I don't want to be in the middle and be picking every 4 hours. I got things going on. So Yeah, we stay on the opposite ends, and I'm impressed you noticed that. It's pretty interesting.
You got to pay attention, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you pay attention to Scott Fish 24 on Twitter, Fantasy Cares on Twitter, Fantasy Cares, you will learn certain things. Jed, am I wrong?
No, this is true. I get notifications every time Scott tweets. So, hey, Scott. Yeah.
I worry about that. There seem to be a lot of people with notifications for my tweets. I maybe should, watch what I tweet a little closer, not tweet after a few drinks and stuff like that.
Nobody. If you do that, then you'll go viral. You go viral when you tweet after a few drinks, because everybody's like, "Oh my God, he said something about scoring."
Oh yeah, that's it. I should tease something at 1 a.m. tonight.
See,
adding a new roster spot,
adding a third super flex. Didn't see that one coming, did you?
Oh my goodness.
Scott's tweet. Maybe I should add a third super flex.
Just the eyes emoji. Just
All
the wide eyes emoji.
Thinking out loud.
I'm gonna do it. Maybe I should add a third super flex spot.
Yes, love it. Let's go.
He's gonna put Twitter on a freaking tornado spin. They're just gonna be like, "What in the world happening?
What is going on?" How far are you likely to go with the roster construction year by year? Are you pretty much stuck just keeping it offense? Has there been any ideas of going into defense at all?
Oh yeah, I've had that idea many, many times, but if I do, it would be similar to kicker. I would want it to be a non-required position, but
Gotcha.
sleeper has almost nothing for that. So it's been a little tough. I would it would be fun to be able to have to set IDP scoring in such a way that it balances with the other positions, and I allow people to have a flex if they want to, but I just haven't been there yet. It hasn't been there.
Scott,
this year's exciting.
Just so you know, Scott tweeted that out 40 seconds ago. There's already comments. That's how many people are on his notifications.
The world is burning down right now.
The world is on fire.
Oh,
wait till about 2 a.m. go. I was just joking. Screw that. I ain't doing that. That's so funny. That is so funny. Jeb, tell me a good story about the live draft last year. Like, what was something that stood out that you would be like, I'm going back for this reason? It's like playing golf. You always have that one shot. What was your one shot last year?
The biggest memory from last year was all 4 drafts were running at very different paces. We were going a little bit quicker. And then out of nowhere, this one guy at our table gets up and just screams at the other couple drafts to hurry it up. So I'm looking forward to the adrenaline this year. It'll be a good time. Although I think we have like no time limit this year. So
that's
nice.
That's not going to be
good and bad.
I don't know, man.
Hopefully
Garage isn't listening, because I could be, or Colin, because I could be 100% wrong. I know they're not as strict about it as last year. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
I need to get one of those live drafts.
Yeah, you definitely have to get to the live draft, Chris. That was the highlight of fantasy football last year, was the live draft. I mean, granted, Scott only allows us to draft 10 rounds, and then he cuts us off. Which, I mean, it's not. Well, I mean, listen, he gives us like 10 minutes to draft. We only get 120 picks, and then it's like, some of the places are at bars and things like that. The bartenders are sitting there going, "You're done? Y'all are done? You're going home?
You don't stay in.
Oh no, we all stayed."
I was gonna say, like, the reason I do it is because the first year I suggested 10 rounds, and like I postmortemed, whatever. I talked to people at all the live events, like the people who ran them and people who random smatterings of who attended them. And almost universally, like, everybody had fun at all of them, but almost universally, the ones that like went rogue and went like 15, 20, they had less fun. Like, the ones that went 10 rounds, they hung out, they got to know each other, they drank more, it was super laid back and relaxed. The ones that tried to pound it through it was like, yeah, it was just, it was a draft. We were really trying to get done. We were, like it was a completely different vibe. And I'm like, I like the 10 round vibe, the people having drinks and connecting and like getting to know each other thing, So that's why I do that. That's why I force that hand now. Is just based on those first year, discussions.
And it was absolute a blast. And I know Scott's been to a couple of them. Jed, I know you went last year to Philly. I'm going again to Orlando this year. I'm trying to get to Dallas, which is the following week, or I'm going to try to get to New York, which is the following week. Don't know that I'm going to make that happen. But you've not been to a live draft yet, Chris.
Not a Scott Fishbowl draft. No, unfortunately, I talked to Scott about it. Just the Ontario laws and what's constructed around it just doesn't work. So my best shot right now, I'm gonna sign up early next year. Drive down to Buffalo, man. That's my. There you go.
You should fly to Boston. That one's gonna be a hell of a thing this year.
That's another one. All right.
That or
Boston,
you can.
I was looking at Vegas. The Vegas draft looked like a ton of fun. Trophy Smack one looked like fun. So now that I don't have one in my local area, I can choose whichever one I want.
Well, that's the thing, though, is you got to be strategic about it, right? So let's make let's make a weekend vacation out of it. Let's go somewhere warm, not Canada, that kind of a thing. Whether that's LA.
Definitely not warm.
They're already talking about it. Scott, you broke Twitter.
I don't know about that.
Ricardo says, Mr. Scott Fish, wondering if there are still SFB14 invites to be sent.
God, yeah. Yeah, I have a target goal every year, and I have about 200. I have 204 in the next wave currently, at least 400 more to get to my goal, and then I'll probably go about 400 past that because I kind of just do that. So I would guess there's in the ballpark of 800 to 1,000 more invites I'm going to send.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there because another one of me watching Fantasy Cares on YouTube. If you didn't watch it just the other day where they released the puzzle, by the way, Scott just gave you an answer to one of the words. I don't know what word it was, though.
I did.
See, Scott, you got to pay attention.
Didn't know we were talking about the puzzle. I was sworn to secrecy.
Right. Yeah. Well, I didn't say what word it was, so that's probably a good thing. Yes, the Equinox, you have to go to a live if you can. I know you're out in like New Mexico, Arizona area. There's Vegas is right there. You got LA right there. Come on, you get there. You're getting there. And yes, there's still a chance for 500-600 more people. Is that somewhere roughly right?
At least. Yeah.
At least.
The waves are still in motion. We haven't even talked much about this draft here.
I feel bad. I feel like I hijacked this a little bit here at the end. I'm sorry.
Not at all. Did you not see that the chat wanted you to start posting? You posted, and then that blew up. And I mean, they've gotten great information out of this.
Not that interesting, Scott.
Come on, you're the champ, Jed. Let's go. Did you tell Scott who your quarterbacks were? Or does he already?
Yeah, did you remind Scott who your quarterbacks were last year?
Oh, yeah. One of them was like a backup, I thought. I remember.
So the championship week was Easton Stick was super flexing. So that's that's who you're thinking of. And then it was Lamar, because I had Lamar, Daniel Jones. I don't even remember who my QB3 was. I think also someone who got hurt. So yeah, we were running wild at the end there.
And you still won by like so much that we didn't even need them. Was there a Monday night? We didn't even need Monday night games to decide that winner, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you waited to tweet, but I think it was like, I think you tweeted on the Sunday night, but you were like, unless
unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, it was a good shot.
46.8 to 46.8 is what you won by, just so you know.
Jeez.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, Ravens stack and then just the Rams and Trey McBride on waivers. That was like cheat code. Yeah.
Nakua,
Yeah.
Laporta, you had
average
Kyler
Yeah.
Williams. Woo.
average like
Yeah, no.
110 per week, and then week 17 he throws up a 330 burger.
Yeah. No, I was
And
very
the
close to missing the
110
playoffs.
per week.
Like,
Yeah, the 110
I
per
almost
week's
did
not
not
even
make
that
the
high.
playoffs whatsoever. So, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
quite.
I think
New
his
York
average is
Giants
probably
of the Scott
220.
Fishbowl.
Because in the final week, you only get half your average, I think. So he was probably
Ah,
averaging
okay.
220.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it was because it was like that's what it was. Is that was the half that added into the 330? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was still crazy amount.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, Scott, because like Jeb won the thing, but Susan came in fourth, and Susan was in my division down in Orlando. So I had to give Susan a little bit of love tonight, even though we had Jed on the show,
Absolutely.
I had to steal a spotlight just a little bit. And I wanted to ask him about the trophy, but I didn't want to do it and be like, no, you don't have it. So but we'll have to get like a nice picture of you with that trophy from Philly Live. Hopefully that's where that happens at.
Yeah. Hopefully they bring you on Sirius. Sirius goes to the Philly one. They went to the Philly one last year. I'm pretty sure they're going
They
again
did
this
go
year.
last year. Yeah. I didn't think about that, but yeah, no, that would be sweet. But no, I've talked to Colin. I think they got something planned. And Scott, you said you would. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun.
I've been in touch
Definitely
with Sirius. I think they're going to Philly, Boston, and Los Angeles. Boston's a question mark, but Philly and Los Angeles, Jeff Ratcliffe's going to be hosting at those two.
Sweet.
Surprised they don't have them going up there to San Francisco with Howard, or in Dallas with everybody else that's in Dallas.
It's all about the tech team, man. It's all about the equipment and producers. There are SiriusXM hosts or former hosts. Like I had a SiriusXM show for 2 years. There's SiriusXM hosts in almost every live event. It's just about getting the producer and the tech there.
The tech, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. They do a big old area for the Trophy Smack one. I believe Matt gives them a big area to set up in. I think they have 3 or 4 shows that go off in there, if I'm not mistaken, that I've seen.
Yep.
See pictures of it on Twitter if you pay attention to hashtag SFB13, hashtag SFB14. You'll see them all. They all of them are showing stuff on there. So I think it's awesome.
LA is absurd. It's a fun time. Matt does a good job there.
Going back to what we were talking about earlier, Scott, Street says they hung out 6 hours after the draft last year and ended up starting another dynasty league.
Oh, nice. With a bunch of the people from that. I love that. I love that people are connecting at these and making leagues. That's awesome. There's a league out there that's I guess a fishbowl dynasty league that they are a dynasty league, but they change the scoring to whatever I decide the scoring is each year, which is insane to me.
Yes. Actually, Scott, that's through the hopefuls.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's through the hopefuls.
Okay.
That I believe this year will be the first year. Unless you're speaking of something different. I know the hopefuls just started one of those, but it's going to change every year with SFB scoring.
Okay. Yeah. So there is one that's either in year 2 or year 3.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah, that's
such an interesting wrinkle that.
Yeah.
So I saw someone tweet out that they had just recently in that league. Well, not the one I'm talking about. Just recently, within the last few weeks, before I announced scoring, traded for Rashid Shaheed. Man,
gold.
You hit a jackpot on that one, buddy.
Get out of Scott's DMs.
Yeah, and if you are in that league and you have a certain roster, I may be accepting bribes on next year's scoring.
All bribes will go to Fantasy Cares. Don't you worry.
Yes.
Oh my Lord. How much did Fantasy Cares raise last year? Not exact number, but overall, everything that they did, and I guess give us a little bit of
yeah. I mean, I can ballpark it. I know it's about 278,000. Like we're a 501c3, so our records are public knowledge. They're public. So I believe it was 278,000 we raised last year. I never know what the full impact is because like we always push for people to donate to really any charity, just try to do good with this hobby of ours. So I know that there's lots of other charities that have been supported by people that in the name of Fantasy Cares. But yeah, I believe it was 278,000 last year. Did a ton of good with it. It's just incredible the way this community bands around it.
One of the things that you've said that I've heard you say multiple times, and it's something that I've started to implement in any leagues that I am a commission or any league that I'm going to join going forward, is always a portion of that goes to some sort of charity.
Yes,
whether that's
absolutely.
Whether it's one buy-in or it's a percentage of it, whether it's the winner's choice, whatever. So,
it's kind of where the start of this happened. About 10, 11, 12, whatever years ago. When you end a podcast, when you go on a show and you're like, tell us where people can find you, etc. Every time I'd go on there and I'd plug Debbie a little bit because I was big into that forever, and I would always say in that tag, ScottFish24 on Twitter, on social media, whatever. And also if you're in a fantasy league, consider giving one entry fee to charity because there are hundreds of thousands of fantasy leagues. And if we all did that, we could do a ton of good. And it took a while, but I think it finally caught on. I feel like we see this movement. I feel like we've seen charity leagues and tournaments all over, but yeah, that's what I used to say all the time. I don't as much anymore, but I mean, I'm glad that it's out there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about it is getting the charity aspect into the game because it's some of it is for the money, but 99% of it is a hobby. We have fun with it. We enjoy it. It costs us a little bit of money if you can, but you're helping somebody else and enjoying the community as a whole. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This chat's kind of rocking tonight. It's a fun chat.
Scott, they do this on a regular but it's like whenever they ask you if you were going to pop in the chat, is Scott going to come into the chat? I'm like, I don't know. And then the next, Scott's in the chat. Is Scott going to come up on camera? I don't know. And Scott's on camera, on the stream. And now they just want to know all about Scott.
And the third Superflex.
And what's Scott going to tweet next?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I think I might be done for the night on that. But
this was an absolute blast. This was an absolute best. Diequinox said he took over a league last year, and they do that where they donate. So that's awesome. You've made big inroads in this industry, Scott, and congratulations for that.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Chris, you want to talk about this draft at all? What's crazy is we're here doing mock draft and we haven't even talked about it hardly.
I mean, yeah, it's been pretty good draft. A lot of great teams. It's going to be interesting to see how much the draft changes in a month or so as people start crunching the scoring and more information comes out on where you should be targeting certain guys in your drafts. But I mean, for the most part, pretty solid draft, man. You got a couple of teams with 3 tight ends early. A couple of teams that faded quarterback as a whole. Like the first team's got Brock Purdy and then didn't pick a quarterback too until Will Levis there. Few teams that went wide receiver heavy, the 1-9 Stroud Love, and then 5 straight target hungry wide receivers. So it's going to be interesting to see how the league folds out within the first quarter of the season and how much the teams change through waivers after that. Like I went running back heavy, got George Kittle, 2 pass heavy quarterbacks, and then I tried to get a couple decent returners and then some okay wide receivers. I think my goal in this tournament this year is to really just start one wide receiver and try to make it a guy that's involved in the passing game and the return game, like Rashid Shaheed. If I can have Rashid Shaheed as my wide receiver 1 based on early projections, I'm okay with that.
I'm still a little scared that Scott is going to change his scoring setting.
No, not gonna happen.
Oh, it's concrete now, man.
It's concrete now. It's concrete. Okay, we're good. So Rasheen Shaheed, wide receiver 1, FSB 14. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Before you leave, Scott, because I know you want to get out of here. Ricardo's got a question. It says, which one you think is the best draft spot for SFB 14? So which draft position?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 5 on this. Normally a hem and haw, and I'm like, these are, I have pros and cons to lots of different spots. I think if you like stacking, I think the back end is so much better for if you're going to try to make some kind of stack. 12 especially really good for that. I've seen some Burrow Chase stacks come out of that, and then of course you got the 3-1 coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go with 5 because I think there's rounding out a pretty clear top 5 with CMC and the 3 quarterbacks and Kelsey or whatever. It seems like are becoming pretty clear top 5. But I've noticed over the years in SFB, people, because there's so much draft chaos, you like to try to avoid those runs. And if you're on the wrong side of those runs, it can really hurt. And if you're right in the middle there, you kind of avoid that, or you can start them a little easier, or, not completely miss them. So if you're at 5, you're getting the 5th of that top 5 that people seem to think are the top 5. And you're also right in the middle. So you're only missing 12, 13, whatever picks in between picks. It's just, I really don't know, but like, that's what it seems like it is right now.
I don't hate it because I'm picking at 4. Jeb, you're at 6.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of Scott Fish that we're winning this tournament is what he just said. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Not mad. Yeah.
Jed, first back-to-back champion.
Yep. And Scott's going to be
Jed.
Scott's going to be picking from the 1. Well, Ian's picking from the 6 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah,
or the 12.
We'll see. We are completely undecided. In fact, my division has 2 teams so far, me and Ian. So we'll figure out something fun for the other 10 owners, or we'll let it auto pick and Ian and I will just crush our drafts.
I like that.
Well, we know who's coming out of that division, don't we?
Wait, how are your teams stacked? 2-team division. I mean, what can you say?
Oh, I just want to know how many times Ian's going to snipe you. That's that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I actually, because of the 3rd round reversal and because of the 3rd round, us being on opposite ends, and the 3rd round reversal last year, I actually did snipe him on one pick, but I don't know if it counted as a snipe because I took Anthony Richardson right before his pick. And I got like 2.5 games out of that. So
yeah, 2.5 solid games.
Yeah, I was telling Jed before, I felt pretty good about my team as soon as I drafted last year. So again, drafting from the 4 spot, I was listening to you. I want to say Heath Cummings and somebody else the day of our draft on Sirius. And of course, Heath was drafting from the 101. I believe you were drafting for the 101 last year, and you guys were honestly looking at Travis Kelce. And that was like the thing. As soon as scoring come out, I was like, okay, it's going to be tight end. It's got to be a tight end. But I had to go back and hit myself a couple of times and go, you took the 104 to get the premium at quarterback. Don't change your strategy now. So I didn't. And I passed on Travis Kelce because, everybody in Orlando passed on Travis Kelce. And I ended up with Lamar Jackson at 4.
Okay.
The wraparound came, and I was able to get Jonathan Taylor. After the 3rd round reversal, so now I'm picking at 3-8, whatever it is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I get Anthony Richardson, and I'm like, not too bad start. I got 2 athletic quarterbacks, and it should be a very good running back. Well, a holdout running back and a quarterback that did plays 2 games. It was over pretty quick. But it was fun, and I felt good the day of the draft.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun draft. It's a fun time.
Yeah, I highly recommend everybody go get into the live. How many lives are you doing this year with FSB?
33. I believe it's 27 US 6 international. Somehow with the 5 I'm going to, I didn't manage to make it out to the Maui one. I feel like I should have gone to that one.
Yeah, I would have put that one on the top of the list.
Yeah. Well, because Ian's flight wasn't $100 for that one. That's how you did
Yeah.
it.
That's there you go.
That is true. That's probably what happened.
Yeah. Son, I'm going to Maui. Me too, Dad. Merry Christmas, happy birthday. For the next 4 years to go to Maui. But then you've got another child too, right? And then you've got to have the wife. So then all of you got to go. So you may as well just make it like a week.
Yeah, that's what we're doing with Denver. That was the plan.
Nice.
Once we saw those planes were so cheap that we're like, you know what, we'll just take a few days and go out to Denver and the Rocky Mountains area and stuff. Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, that's cool. You'll get to see Nate and all the guys out there with Optimus and all that. So that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yep. Gonna see them. I usually only see them once a year at the expo. So this will be a twice a year thing for this, or twice this year thing.
Justin Tucker goes off the board at 15-10. First and still the only kicker in the draft going off the board.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, this is a sleeper one, so it's one required, no flex. So yeah, I can.
But isn't that going to be like the biggest thing? Is whether it's the last round or the 15th round, you have to take a kicker.
You probably should. Yeah.
Yep. If you want the points, you don't want the kicker.
Last year I was just having fun. I think I took Justin Tucker in like the 14th against my better reasoning, but I wanted the Ravens stack. I was like, this is my only chance to get a kicker stack. Like, let's run it. Like,
yeah, I mean, if I'm in a draft like this, I kind of like doing the same thing just so I don't really worry about kicker for the whole year. I'm just like, this is a plug and play, and I'll deal with the 1 week. You know?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest.
Oh, there goes Aubrey. Damn.
Oh, second kicker off. But I think that's going to be. I mean, that might be a strategy, right? Just not take the one kicker and not worry about another kicker.
Yep.
Take Tucker early. Yeah. He's gonna secure a good amount of points on a weekly basis, at least at a solid floor, especially on Baltimore.
Yeah.
Well, I would think the
his pure distance alone is crazy with those.
Yeah. The distance, the points after.
Yeah.
Take that all the time over a guy like Mike Wilson, Roman Wilson, Troy Franklin, Quentin Johnston. You know, I'm going to take Justin Tucker over all those guys in this scoring format. Absolutely.
It's a starter, a safe floor, and sure points.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
100%.
Yeah, well, and that's where I guess you're going to be looking at that against a running back, right? What Keontae Mitchell, Tyler Algier, Ray Davis.
Mm-hmm.
You would take Tucker over any of those guys?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And all of those guys went before him.
Yeah,
at
but
least
again,
at least tonight.
We still have our, our redraft goggles on, and we still see the kickers, especially with sleeper, where you can adjust the scoring for the mock, so you can't see how the scoring settings reflect the players that are on the board. So I mean, if we were able to input the scoring settings in this mock, and people were able to see where the kickers finished on a weekly basis amongst the other positions, we might see the kickers go off a little earlier, right? But because we don't have that opportunity to see that, the kickers are gonna fly, especially this early. The kickers are gonna go late. You're on mute, Gator. That's two.
That's
more money in the mute jar.
This is what happens when you have Nate on the program like the week prior. He teaches you bad habits. No, but I think if people were looking at Scott Fish 24 over there on Twitter, that wouldn't be that way, because there was a little nugget that he dropped even before scoring, and there was a lot of kickers in that in that bracket there.
Yeah, kickers a little bit higher. There's Yeah, a lot of kickers are going to be top 100 players in this format.
Yeah.
And the first kicker going off here at 15-10. What's that?
We got a kicker run. We got a kicker run.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, another one.
Now that we've brought up kickers, they're all running
We've
off,
started talking about the kickers. They're all going to go now. That's awesome. Do you look at the schedule at all when trying to select a kicker? Are you looking for the kickers to pinpoint dome games or home games or strength of schedule? Or are you just picking the best one you think is available?
For me, for Scott Fishbowl, I mean, last year at least, I was mainly, 80% of it was just touchdowns because extra points is, a free 3.3. So didn't want to overlook that. So I like this year, I like Aubrey, Butker, guys who will get you field goals anyway and can kick over distance, but also have that floor. Last year, I think Jake Elliott was going way higher in SFB than he was in redraft because of the Eagles offense. So for me, it's looking at the offenses, honestly, and who I think may score more touchdowns and get some value there. Or maybe I'll phone it in and pick a top 2 kicker. We'll see.
Don't want to give too much of that winning strategy away, Jed. I get it, man. You
I'm
cards
telling
close
you,
to
I
your
will
chest.
new strategy every week until the draft. So just hopefully it rolls up sixes. Yeah.
Well,
you got to stay fluid.
With that strategy, I think truly that's why Kyle Fairbairn is going so high right here. We're going off as the fifth kicker off the board in that Houston offense that scores just ridiculous. The one I'm surprised it hasn't gone yet, with the 9 kickers already is, and maybe I missed something, but Robbie Gould. Would you, with San Francisco, would you think that, as you just said, Jed, 3.3 free points?
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, if you're looking at offenses then I would absolutely go for that. So I didn't realize he was still on the board. So I still need to get my mindset there because I'm looking at Tyler Bass and thinking, oh, well, here we go. But yeah, we got the Niners kicker still on the board. Last year, I'm blanking. Well, I'm blanking on the rookie, Moody. The
Jake
rookie kicker's name last year. Yeah, Jake Moody. Yeah. So I wanted him last year. He ended up being a hot pick. I don't think I ended up getting him, but that was a guy, rookie kicker. Who cares? I'm on the clock. But he's the Niners kicker. Let's snag him. Yeah.
Scott, I know you do this in just about every league you're in, but it's something I believe it was 2 years ago you started in Scott Fishbowl was that third round reversal.
Yep.
So I've not been in a Scott Fishbowl yet that hadn't had third round reversal. That's the amount of years that I've been in. What went into the thought process of third round reversal and why you did it?
Yeah, just mostly the data, honestly. The balancing between draft positions. There was enough out there that, especially in Fishbowl, that doing that created much more balance. And every year someone tweets out a chart of how it balances stuff in the Fishbowl. And that's really all it's about. It's to further the balance, and I don't know that most leagues care about balance. I mostly care about balance because it creates draft chaos. And really SFB, the vast majority of what SFB is the draft. That is where all the talk, all the interest, really a lot of it lies. I mean, it's a full season league, and there's stuff in season, and there's playoffs that get talked about, but everybody is super pumped for the draft. And the more chaotic that draft can be, the more crazy it can be, the more strategies that work, and the more balanced it is. Just all adds to that. So I brought it in mostly to just balance things out so that you could draft from the 1 or the 12 and have a legit shot at a decent roster, at being good, at scoring an almost equal amount of points. It's really just about balance and draft chaos is what that came in from.
Jed, how does the, I know you picked 6 last year, you're picking 6 this year. How did the third round reversal, how did that come into to play when you were thinking about your draft position, or did it?
Yeah, it definitely did a little bit. Last year, I didn't want to go much earlier than 6. I was kind of between 5 or 6. I knew CMC and Kelsey would go early, so I wanted to wanted to still get that top tier quarterback with like a Lamar or Burrow. So yeah, but I don't want to go any earlier because this year especially, I would, I'm glad I didn't know the scoring. So, and obviously 6 worked out fine last year. So I was just like, let's do it. But I didn't really consider the first couple picks because of the reversal. So yeah.
6 is a good spot to, yeah, 6 is a good spot to pick before scoring and all to be agnostic to the scoring and the third round reversal. You're just like, I'm going to stick in the middle and it's not going to affect me.
Yeah, I'll try to get my guys yeah.
Charlene
there were
says,
good teams last year in the top 3 teams. I remember the graph. I think there were some that were better than the 6s, like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Scott, Charlene says she forgets about kickers until someone takes Tucker, and this is why she has to mock. Double Wins wants to know, Scott, do you think Jefferson will be a top 5 with Darnold possibly starting for the Vikings?
Probably. It's still a loaded enough offense that there's other players that are going to draw attention from defenses, and Addison, Aaron Green out of the backfield and whatnot. I trust in KOC's ability to direct an offense. We watched Jefferson still have great stats with guys like Nick Mullins last year, Jaron Hall and Josh Dobbs and whatnot. So like with Darnold or JJ McCarthy, I feel like Jefferson can still put up, but we also got to remember TJ Hawkinson's going to be out till Thanksgiving. So there's some targets there to be thrown around, and the Vikings are not going to be favored in most of their games. I believe their Vegas over under is 6.5, something like that. There's a likelihood they're going to trail a decent amount where they're going to have to pass. And if it is the rookie, I know he says with Darnold, but even if it is the rookie, like rookies tend to rely on their safest option. Maybe Darnold will rely on the safest option as well. And that's always going to be Jefferson. I'm not too worried about Jefferson this year.
No. Probably the most QB
friendly landing spot for a rookie.
Yeah,
that where you're gonna go?
Well, between the landing spot for a rookie, but also for JJ, I think we saw it with the last 5 or 6 games with who was the starter last year? Mullen.
Yeah, Mullen.
The last 5 or 6 games. Jesus, he's still at
Dobbs.
Yeah. They still have freaking 100+ yards. It was ridiculous. He made Mullen look like a daggum Pro Bowler for 5 games. It was crazy. QB proof is the word I was looking for. For JJ.
I started Mullen
just insane.
SFP 13 games. Yeah.
the
keep rubbing it in, Jed.
Yeah, the abundance of secondary players Jed had last year that won him this league.
What I'm getting from this is attack all other positions, and at the end of your draft, just draft a bunch of backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
This
like literally just getting
2 years in a row we've had 60+ quarterbacks. Is it 2 or 3 years in a row we've had 60+ quarterbacks start a game in the NFL?
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if like I don't know who wins out of AOC and Gardner Minshew, but like a Minshew Justin Fields stack is on one of the final rosters at the end of the season.
I can see
Scott,
that happening.
you are killing
all
of my Russell Wilson shares that I'm going to have to sell here shortly.
Well, the great thing about Justin Fields is you also get the return yards too. So
a returning quarterback. I love it. Can he play tight end too?
There goes the quarterbacks.
Oh man.
Oh, look at what we're doing. Jed, look what you did.
Moving the needle.
Sir.
Jameis Winston, AOC.
I got him on waivers after Daniel Jones shattered his ACL, but to each his own.
Oh, good Lord. It's going to
But
be
yeah,
interesting
Puka
to
and
see.
Kyren
Like,
were the last 3 rounds. So those are just as important, I think, is my only lesson.
Jed, do you remember last year, your first, maybe two weeks or so of waivers, the players that were dropped in order for you to pick up some of these guys?
Well, Trey McBride was the big one. He wasn't first couple of weeks. I think he was a little later on, like week 4 or 5. I snagged him. And then the backup quarterbacks was just kind of half luck, half just putting enough fab down for him. But first couple of weeks, no, it wasn't too great. I honestly was not feeling too hopeful about things until like midway through the season when people started having their spike weeks like every week. So that worked out. But honestly, I treated it a lot like a best ball, and I think it kind of ended up that way. So I'm not really surprised that it felt that way, which I think is the only, I don't know. That's the way to go. I'm going about it this year as well. Like, you can't think about it like a redraft. It's going to be, you have to be perfect.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's
just my 2 cents. It's my second one. So.
I mean, you've made it further than even the guy that created the league. So I would lean.
There,
just keep rubbing it in.
Now who's rubbing it in?
Well, listen. You get a chance to talk to Scott Fish, and he doesn't just cancel the stream right away. It's okay, right? I don't know. Scott, do you feel that way? Do you feel like you can treat this as a best ball with the way with the way the scoring changes on a yearly, and then it's really not a redraft? It's more of a best ball.
I mean, I think it's a little bit. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, if you think about the fact that waivers are so thin, we do 22 rounds. I mean, that there's not much out there, so you're pretty close to stuck with what you have, except for a few waiver runs, and also the tournament style of it at the end. I think both of those factor, and I think that makes sense. There's some similarities there. I'm running on about 6% battery here, so if my screen like pops, just goes away.
It's not because I'm talking crap. It's not because I'm giving Jed love on you.
Yeah, luckily every time you talk crap, you were on mute, so I didn't hear it. But
well, there's things you learn from Nate that I learned. I just learned that from Nate. Jefferson
good. Jefferson
true.
Great.
Agreed.
It's actually correct.
Yeah. And rich.
Jesus, yeah.
Fully loaded.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I am still surprised that there's teams that, well, there's at least one that doesn't have a kicker right now, and we're gonna have to get one at the end. But I mean, it's just, I guess on Sleeper, because you can only start the one. If it was on MFL, you'd be able to start multiples, but still weird to me that there's
well, you still got to start one, right?
Correct. You have to start
one. You're gonna want a guy that's at the top of the tier. Like, why would I want a guy that maybe
gonna miss
10? Yeah, or 10 points behind the top end guy. So I'd rather attack the position early based on how much points they score.
No negative scoring.
True. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yeah, but there is also a high likelihood that the guys who do wait and stream could still find someone good. Like, I don't think Brandon Aubrey was going super high last year.
No, sure.
Crazy year. But no, don't get me wrong. I'm doing the same thing. But I could definitely see the counterpoint though. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think the Lions got their back end is just 7 straight indoor games or something like that. I know they got a stretch where there's a ton of indoor games, and I think it's the back end of their schedule.
If you believe
they were top end of the league last year too, in just field goals and touchdowns scored and everything like that. So another kicker that I'm going to try to attack is Detroit Lions, man. Detroit Lions offense in general.
Yeah.
And that's an offense you could stack pretty easily in this.
Yeah.
That where they're going.
They got 4 or 5 guys that can produce a lot of points. Like you said, where they're going. Jared Goff, you can get a bit later. Jameer Gibbs, Monroe St. Brown, and then Laporta. I mean, Laporta, you might have to. He went in the first round.
That might have to be a first rounder. Yeah, Amon-Ra Laporta have to be 1-2 probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Laporta went 1.8 and Amon-Ra St. Brown went 2.7. So yeah, you could probably stack that.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. I stacked Amon-Ra.
Yeah, probably right there then. Guys, I'm going to drop out right before my battery dies. So it's fun hanging out with you. Hope you have a fun finish to your draft. Jed, congratulations. I hope you're going to be there, but I'm excited for you to get your trophy at Philly Live. That'll be pretty awesome.
Thanks, Scott. Good hanging, man. Yeah. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely appreciate you, Scott. Have a great night.
You too.
Well, if that wasn't a
that was awesome.
surprise there, Jed, how about that?
I mean, yeah, we take those, man. Oh, I forgot. I was going to say my team is a throwaway as a result, I think. But hey, man,
this is why we mock, right?
Exactly.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Man. Good time.
Oh my
He
Lord.
timed it well too. I mean, battery probably going to die right when the draft does. So. Respect.
Yeah, exactly. And we got the cryptic tweet with the third super flex. That was terrific, man. I was following along the comments and everyone was just like, what is going on?
Twitter is broke. Twitter is broke.
The third super flex just burned the whole thing down. That was terrific.
Chris, you've looked at it.
Scott, sorry, you go, Jay.
No, go ahead. This is.
Oh no, I was gonna say. I wish we asked him if he thought any pure return guys will have like standalone flex value at any point. Like, I don't think so. But like Darius Davis on the Chargers, I think if you total up his return yards, I think had like 800 yards, something like that last year. So that's what is that? 160 points. Like that's still probably lower than a bench. But anyway, I'm curious if that was an intention at all, or if it's just for the guys who are still going to give you some yards, receiving.
I think I picked Gibson in the 15th round.
Yeah, you're okay. There we go. Yeah,
he's electric, and I think on the projection sheet, I think I got to fine tune my projection sheet just a little bit because I don't know if I have the tight end scoring right on that thing, but Xavier Gibson is projected to be the top scoring special teams player just from special teams points across the board. So, and we've seen how electric he was. I mean, first week he scored that game-winning touchdown against Buffalo, right? Last year when Aaron Rodgers went out. I think it was it the first week? That was the first week, right? When you ran it back? Yeah. The undrafted free agent. We watched Hard Knocks. And then the thing with Aaron Rodgers happens. They still keep it tight against the Bills, and then Xavier Gibson runs one back for the touchdown. But man, you give that kid the ball, he's electric. There's another kid that I like out of Indianapolis that they drafted in the 5th round this year. I'm going to take him here, Anthony Gold out of Oregon State. He averaged about 16.7 yards per return at Oregon State punt return. So another guy who's shifty, quick. He can lose you on the field. 1-2 quick cuts and he's gone. Anthony Gold's a guy that if Indianapolis utilizes him with the new kick return rules, which I think will come into a play with a lot of these guys that just hold that standalone return value. These guys are going to hold some good value, and they're going to be the guys that people are picking up once the first couple of waiver runs run through.
Good insight, bro. I was writing that down. Yeah. Thanks for letting me ask, Jay. Good call.
No, I think that's something truly that as a group we're going to be looking at when it comes to these the offseason workouts, who's actually back there on each of these punt returns, kick returns.
Yeah.
Who's getting that? With these new rules, I think the teams themselves don't know as a whole. There's certain ones that we can sit here and absolutely 100%. We know Shaheed's going to return. We know Gibson's probably going to return. Or, we know certain players are going to be return guys. But there's still Trey Palmer in Tampa.
Yeah.
More than likely going to be a return guy. But there's still some teams out there we don't know. And then some of these teams this offseason, knowing this was going to be changing, went out there and got them an extra wide receiver, went out there and got them an extra running back. They were like, why the hell did they do that? Maybe that's why.
Yeah. That's why teams like Indianapolis Colts draft a guy like Anthony Gold, who didn't have that elite or didn't have really that much wide receiver production at Oregon State, but can be utilized in these new kick return formats. I mean, and there's 3 phases to every game. You can lose a game on special teams and you can win a game on special teams. And having these game-changing players that can win you these games on special teams with these new rules, like I'm excited to see how these new kickoff rules change just how valuable these guys can be in your kick return. Jamal Agnew's another guy, kick return and punt return leagues.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah. That makes 3 of us and a bunch of people that are in the chat. We're all ready to go.
No, I think that's football. Why they did it. yeah.
I think it's going to be an absolute blast. I wish, part of me wishes that Scott could have got Sleeper to do the 0.25 for targets, because I think that would have added an extra element. But it's going to be a blast. Again, it's for charity. It's fun. Make sure you go back and check out Fantasy Cares, fantasycares.org, shopfantasycares.com, scottfishbowl.com. Make sure you do all that. I will get this draft board zipped up and put onto Twitter here very, very shortly. But overall, looking at the board, Jed, did you see anything that stood out to you right away that you were like, oh, that's something I need to keep an eye on?
Look, like I said, this is only my 3rd mock. So every mock is good data for seeing where the returners are going. How long I can kind of cheat by waiting off on those guys, and trying to steal them late. But so it's good to keep myself honest with that, because I think I could get caught lacking on draft day and you'd be like, oh, nobody's going to think of these guys. And meanwhile, 6 of us are thinking the same way. So yeah, that's a big one. And then, I think the mid draft. So like I was saying, I like the top end wide receivers, at least trying to get a couple of those, but I didn't really take any after my first 3 for a hot minute. Because I think like Scott was saying, and also Chris, I think you were alluding to earlier, the running backs are going to be providing a lot of points out of these flex slots. I think the mid-end running backs score a lot more than the mid-end wide receivers. Not quite as much as last year, but still by a good chunk. So yeah.
Yep. Just one more little thing to touch on the returners before we go. If you're looking at the UFL this season, what the NFL kind of constructed their kick return on, their top kick returner has 1,200 yards this season. Kick return yards. He's averaging 27.1 return yards on the kick return, not the punt return. Punt return, he's only got 142, but kick return, he's got 1,218. The next guy below him has got 962. So just a little bit of insight on how much effect these kick return guys can have with the new settings.
I have not watched much of the UFL. However, I believe that particular player is either from Birmingham or Houston.
It's telling me DC.
Okay, maybe that's the game it was. I watched. No, because there was neither one of them were in the playoffs, and maybe it was DC and Houston that was playing or whatever. This kid was electric. Yeah. He's not going to be playing in the UFL next year.
No. I mean, he does have 45 kick return attempts, so maybe the DC team is really bad.
Oh no! They're I believe they're the defending champs, and they are bad. Okay. They are bad. They are bad.
Yeah, but he had scored on a lot, so the opportunity's there for him. But that's 1,200 yards in what the NFL is implementing in their kick return game in special teams this year. I mean, that's something to look at, man. And I'm going kick return average 27.1, 22.4, 25.4. These guys are averaging based on how Scott Fish constructs his return scoring. These guys are averaging a 27.1 kick return average is what? 4 points? 1 point for every 5 yards, 5 points per return.
Yeah, more. I was gonna say 5. Yeah, like 5.4. So
I mean, it's nothing to. You might not see that in the NFL, but I mean, some of these guys are going to hold some standalone value.
No, good thing to keep in mind too about the teams who are getting scored on a whole bunch. Who will be putting up, maybe 1.5, twice as many returns as the best defenses, and that's going to make a huge impact.
And then the opposite side of that, the teams with the good defenses, you kind of want the punt returners on those teams, right? Because those guys are going to see the punt return yards. So kind of have to, maybe get one on this side. If I want to take a returner on this, I'm going to get the punt returner that's on a team with a good defense at that point there, right? So there's going to be some things you're going to look at to try to gain the edge, because it's a huge tournament. I think he's up to almost 4,000 people in this year. You're going to want to find that one thing that gives you the edge over everybody else, because there's going to be teams that have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, all these top names across the board. Can you find the Easton Sticks that'll give you the edge?
Yes, sir.
Come on back, Devin Hester. What are you doing?
Yeah, Devin, man, he would be money in this. He would be money.
I was watching a highlight reel. It's like last month, bro. Oh man, never gets old.
Jed, we have been on for 2 hours. Greatly appreciate you sticking it out with us, giving your story, because I think the story itself is phenomenal. Congratulations once again on SFB 13. Can't wait to see, pictures of you holding that trophy at the Philly Live. Man, oh man, congratulations.
Thanks, guys. No, it was a good time. Always down for a mock. Happened to just get Scott in on us. So that was great. But yeah, hope you guys have a good summer. And I'll try to get messy send some pictures over as well.
Absolutely. Scampers jumping in the chat. What studs are going to be tested at returner?
Exactly. If you can get the top end guys that are involved in the returns as well, and those guys are, you're not going to want to let those guys go. You're going to want to draft those guys. I mean, you getting Tyreek Hill with the usage that he's get along with the return usage. It's over.
Yes, it's over. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed to Club Fantasy FFL here on YouTube, you can fix that ASAP. We just passed 1,000 subscribers, on our way to 2,000. We can only do it with your help. Don't forget the schedule we have coming out. Tomorrow, Masterclass. That is our best ball show at 8:30. Wednesday morning, Hoosier Caddy, the Golf DFS at 9 a.m. No Punt Intended, the flagship show Wednesday night at 7. Mock It Like It's Hot, the other mock show we have, 11 a.m. on Saturday. Dynasty After Party, 11 a.m. on Sunday. And then we are back again next week. Chris and myself, our buddy Hoove is joining us. Ooh. Yes, Hoove and Haas. Hoove is in the house next week.
Yeah.
Yes. Chris, let the viewers know what you are working on, where they can find you, all the good, juicy details.
You can find me at FFChrisB on Twitter. I got a look inside of the New Orleans Saints and Rashid Shaheed coming up on Club Fantasy every Wednesday night on Fantasy and Frames. You can find me with Rhett Manuel and Drew Scott. This week, we got Howard Bender joining us. We'll be talking wide receivers and tight ends. And then this Sunday, you find me on Chasing the Natty with Jared Palmgren, where I'm a guest, and we'll be doing a college fantasy football mock. So I'm excited to do that. And then, like you said, every Monday, 10 o'clock here, Mocking with the Stars with my guy, Gator J.
Damn. You got a busy week, buddy.
Busy.
Sunday's going to be
everyone calls it the off season, but man, it's the on season, baby.
No, the off season happens here shortly. Because, come July, right about the
training
time
camps.
Scott Fishbowl is right as that draft ends. Guess what's coming out? College football on the PS5. It'll be down season, no content created season. Alrighty, guys. For Jed, for Chris, for myself, appreciate you. Y'all have a great night.